Hey y'all, hey, welcome to Tootie Talk Sense. Come on in, like the video. Come on, y'all, let's discuss.
Straight from the shot, spitting truth, no halt. Tootie Talk Sense, keep the culture on vault. Politics, humor, mix it raw in the stew. Breaking down the news like she's slicing a cube. Come on, y'all, let's discuss, that's the frame. Dropping hitters, Tootie's putting lanes to shame. Hilarious for real, got the nation on the buzz. Got them tuning in like they addicted to the love. She the queen of the trends, no fake, no frauds. Unpacking every topic, flipping all the odds. From city lights sparking to the Capitol walls. Tootie got the mic, they just stalling in the hall. She a vibe, make Chicago proud on the route. Windy City wit, knocking all the clout out. Raw but so rich, intellect on the brim. Swimming through the chaos, never decrease the dim. Come on, y'all, let's discuss, that's the frame. Breaking it down, keep it sharp like a blade. Hilarious for real, got the nation on the buzz. Tootie Talk Sense, spreading heat like the sun. Kanye level antics, nah, she's supreme. Stitching words together like a courtroom dream. Politics on canvas, brush strokes vivid. Tootie's broad vision turning limits to liquid.
So, day two. Now, yesterday I was supposed to put out the video for day two of the P. Diddy trial. So today we're just talking about day two. And I may have to break this into two parts because I'm on a time crunch recording this part right now. I didn't do it yesterday because I ain't gonna lie, y'all. It took me out. I had to listening to the reports on what Cassie testified about on day two. It was a lot. It was a lot. I had to come home and I was supposed to record once I got home, but I had a drink. Some of my husband friends came over. We played some spades. I had to decompress because I was like, that was a lot. And for me, it wasn't so much of like it wasn't about kink shaming or me not being into what sexual things they were doing. If those things was done under force, under coercion, under blackmail, then it was like torture because it was a lot. But let me get into what happened on day two. So the defense was questioning the male worker, and they had the black attorney from the defense side, the black male attorney, question this male worker. So of course people are like, are they having him question this escort because he's black? Which probably he is. Probably they did. So in the first day where he was questioning the worker, he asked this black male attorney, and I don't know his name, y'all, but he asked so many sexual questions and used ejaculation so much. And I'm gonna be looking down because I took notes so I can remember everything that was said. And also I like to give credit to Mims Make It Make Sense YouTube, because I have been watching him. To me, he's the most detailed. I have watched some other ones like TMZ and some news stations, but mainly I've been watching Mims because Mims to me is more detailed and give you just, she said this, the question, they asked her this question, her response was this question. So I like that. And I told y'all before, the other YouTubers was more like, and I saw his son, I sat next to this person and, baby, tell me the damn story. So I like that Mims tells me the damn story. Tells me what happened. So I can, almost picture like being there. Now, so the first day when the attorney was questioning this male escort worker, he was asking so many questions and saying ejaculation so much that the judge had to interrupt and tell him to get to the point. And he was asking things like, what position was y'all in? Did you get hard? Did you ejaculate? And the line of questioning, what it seems that it had no connection to whether this goes into force or coercion or even a defense for P. Diddy, because what sexual position this male escort and Cassie had, I don't know what you're proving with that. So it was just like, what is he doing? Now at this point, I'm like, okay, he might be a fan too. The attorney, he's a fan. He freaky. Now there was questions was along the lines of there was also questions along the lines of who paid for the hotel, who paid you. It seems like they was trying to establish the point that Cassie set up the freak off because she paid for the hotel. But he testified that he didn't know who paid for the hotel, but Cassie is the one who gave him the money. There was a point where the attorney kept asking him about if P. Diddy was telling him what to do during the freak off. And he keeps saying yes. Then the attorney asks if P. Diddy gave instructions, and he said no. So during the recross, the prosecutor asks again about P. Diddy telling him what to do during the freak off, and he said yes. So the defense seemed to try to establish that this guy liked Cassie and was just jealous of Diddy, that Diddy had Cassie and he didn't. They asked him, did he like Cassie? He said yes. He thought she was attractive and would have liked to be with her if he could. They asked about whether he ever seen Cassie outside of the freak off. And he said yes, once he seen her in public, but she didn't say anything to him. There was no communications between them unless it was to set up a freak off. If it came out, he had the it was no communication between them except to set up the freak off. It came out that he had the biggest eggplant that they have ever seen. He would text Cassie and she wouldn't respond. He sent Cassie a text message that said, I'm drunk and a little fucked up right now, but I love y'all niggas. He explained he wanted to check on her because this was after a time he saw Diddy abuse her. He knew he had to include Diddy in the text message so it wouldn't be a problem. That's why he said, I love y'all niggas. And he couldn't just text her and be like, hey, are you all right? Because, Diddy, he would assume Diddy had her phone or will see the message or whatever. And he didn't want to get her more beat than what he already seen her get beat. That's what I'm taking from it. He testified that times when Diddy would enter the room, he testified that when Diddy would enter the room, he couldn't perform. Like he would be with Cassie and Diddy would touch him or enter the room and he would go soft. The defense attorney asked, so Diddy made you have erectile dysfunction? And he said yes. Like, indeed. I'm like, okay. He said this is the first time in life that he didn't had a problem getting it up. So once when he couldn't get it up, Diddy told Cassie to go put baby oil on the worker and massage his back and shoulders, but he still couldn't get it up. So Diddy sent him home without pay. There was a part where he said Diddy threw a vase at Cassie while he was there. There was an instance where Diddy abused Cassie, either hit her or drug her by the hair. I can't remember, but then then after he abused Cassie, he came to the worker and was like, now go fuck her. So that sums up the worker. So now it's the part where everybody been waiting on, where Cassie's enter. Now she entered, and of course she's very much pregnant, and she has on a brown dress. Mim said that she talks similar to the girl who did the interview with Tasha K. And I said, oh Lord. Because y'all seen that interview with Tasha K. The best way I could describe it is a Valley girl slowed down. I'm not saying that they sound dumb. I would say from the conversation, from this interview with Tasha K, she ain't the brightest bulb in the pack. It's like almost like the Shannon Sharp conversation with the 19-year-old, where it's just slow and you like, oh, please, maybe it's my ADHD, because I'm like, oh, please read up, get to the point. But it feels like you talking to a preteen, like holding a conversation with them to get details and a full picture of what they are trying to explain would be slow and tedious. And you would have to walk them from point A to point C to point D and everywhere in between. Uh, Mills feel like her testimony was kind of underwhelming, that she testified like she did freak off because she didn't know how to say no. Where it was expected an answer like I did it because if I said no, I will get beat. And he thinking maybe this would be a problem. If you read or heard about her lawsuit, then you expect for her to explain her fear better. But I said people need to keep in mind that a lawyer wrote her lawsuit, not her. So it said that uh, it said that abuse victims get stuck at the age on which the abuse happens. So maybe she may be a grown girl, but she talks like a teenager. Cassie testimony seemed vague and the prosecutor's questions seemed vague and didn't get to the point, like asking Cassie, you didn't know how to say no. Why? Why didn't you know how to say no? Or what would happen if you said no? You think that the prosecutors would push that issue to get out the full story, but the prosecutors, if she would say, I didn't know how to say no, prosecutors would let that go instead of trying to, get to the point of it. Now in 2024, she was dating Ryan. So then first they start off with, her life history. So then they go, we're gonna start with the 2024. She was dating Ryan and she had made a song. In January of 2026, she signed with Bad Boy. In August of 2026, she dropped her first album and never dropped another one. Now, mind you, when she signed with Bad Boy, it was a 10 album deal, but she have only dropped one album and never did another one. She knew who Diddy was, but had no interest of being with him. She would see him at different events and at award show. She ran into Diddy of August of 2007 at the VMA Awards. This was the first time that Diddy kissed her, and she was confused about it, and she cried and she ran away. So it was there's a 17-year age difference in between Diddy and Cassie, and he had all control over her career. Diddy invited her to his hotel room because he was renovating his house and he wanted to talk to her about her career. I'm like, okay, but still, if he's talking about her career, why are you inviting her? Even you renovating your house, and why are you inviting her to the house? Why are you inviting this girl to the record label, to your office? And people may be like, oh, well, his office is in his house. But I know they got a record label. What I would not is the record label not open? Is the record label also being renovated? Because I'm just saying, and I'm not blaming the victim here on that part, but this is just red flags for the younger ones or anybody who may go through this. Maybe question it because you trying to get them draws if you trying to get them to your house or to a hotel room. But let's continue. She said Diddy is the one who taught her oral by giving her oral. She had never had oral before, had never did it, and I guess never received it. No, they didn't say she had never received it. She just said he taught her oral by giving her oral, then got mad because she didn't give it back. I'm like, Diddy, you are messing with this young girl. You know damn well you got to lick it before you stick it. And you got to get it something. But why is you getting mad that this young girl don't want to do no oral on no wrinkly ball? Let me continue. At this time, this is two consenting adults, which is 22 and 39 years old. I'm just saying, if you're 39 and you have to teach your 22-year-old how to receive oral, then maybe you too old to be messing around with that little girl. Well, with that young woman. Or maybe find somebody who already know how to do it. But she eventually did reciprocate the oral on Diddy, and they was going to the hotel room, made her nervous. Okay, going to his hotel made her nervous and made her feel sneaky because she was still with Ryan, her boyfriend. She took trips to meet him in Miami, and Diddy made up flyers to get her there so Ryan, her boyfriend, wouldn't be suspicious. If I'm not mistaken, this was flyers he made up to say she was performing in Miami for her to have a reason to be down there in Miami so her boyfriend wouldn't think much of it. But she was actually just down there fucking around with Diddy. She was nervous on the trip, so Diddy told her to take ecstasy. They was together after Miami. She thought he And so pretty much after the Miami trip, they was together. And she thought she was his only girl. But come find out he had Minty mom. He had a plethora of bitches. But of women. He had a plethora of women. So they didn't go public for many years because Diddy will talk about he don't want his family involved or what his family would say. And because she was an employee, he was the boss. So that's the reason why they kept the secret of them being together. They asked who was Diddy with at that time, and she said he was with Kim Porter. After she started dating Diddy, she let go of her management team, and then Diddy had complete control of everything. Not only was he the record label, she didn't have a management team, so Diddy was the one who would, have to schedule performance and blah blah blah. So he pretty much had control over everything. I said, now let's take a moment and talk about this because sometimes you have to live and you learn. You hear all the time, don't put all your eggs in one basket. I know growing up, the older women would say, don't tell your man everything. Always have something put up to your side that your husband don't know nothing about. And they was talking about like money. At least I thought they was talking about money. They probably was talking about some D. I don't know. I'm assuming they was talking about money. I honestly didn't understand this because I'm like, how could you build, grow, and put all your trust in your husband? Your husband supposed to be your best friend, but you can't tell your husband everything. I didn't understand that. Like, no, I don't know about that. Then, baby, I got older and I lived and I learned. And child, there was a reason why doing a song back in my mama's time. They would take a break clean in the middle of a song and talk to you, baby. Then the old school songs had that good. And they'll try to teach you, our little young dumb ass, listen to the music. One song, lady would be like, there was an old lady sitting under a tree. Like, oh, and we just setting up that bobbing to the song, baby. You better listen. But sometimes when you're younger, you disregard advice that the older people are giving you because you're like, oh, that's back in her time. Like, oh, stuff is not like that now. All things are different. When I was being told, don't tell a man everything and keep something to the side, I was thinking that's because, they was traditional wives back then, that the men made all the women, all the money and the women didn't work. And some of them men was assholes. They would have asshole families. They was cheating. They were beating women because they had no choice. The only money they had is the money that the husband would give them. And a lot of them had like 8 to 14 kids. They back in the day. They had a bunch of kids back in the day. And so it ain't like you can pick up that many kids and just leave. Well, I'm finna go in. I'm finna move back in with my mom. So you would hear a man leaving his entire family and like move to the next state or move a town over and start a whole new family and leave this family in destitute. The last family, his first family in destitute. And you be like, what the? Or you see a man making these outside babies. Y'all see that movie Fences with Denzel Washington and bring that lady home a whole baby. Like, wait, what in the world? Now, what the women were saying from back in the day when they saying, oh, always keep you something over to the side. What would happen is that because the men are the one who work, they also would pay all the bills, of course. But some men or a lot of men would give the wife the money and she would have to go to the different companies to pay, pay the bill, pay the light bill, pay the mortgage, pay the blah, 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 blah. Because this is before internet, y'all. This is pre-internet. So it wasn't like going online and pay it. They would have to go in to pay it while the husband at work, the kids at school. You'll go in, he'll give you the money. When you get paid, you'll go in to pay it. Now, what they will say is what some women had started to do after seeing they friend that this didn't happen to, their mom or their auntie, that, women are left out there destitute trying to take care of kids. So what some have had started to do was tell them that bill was more than what it was. So if you got a $75 light bill, you'll say it's 100, and you'll take that $25, you'll put it up, and you'll just keep, with each bill or do that. That way you'll have savings in case anything ever happen. You'll have a little something to fall back on. Like some of us, we don't listen to that old school advice, and you young and you just like, I got this. I know what I'm doing. My man would never. Child, then it happen, and you'll be stuck in that situation. It's a little too late, and it'll be a woulda, shoulda, coulda, like them broke MAGA voters are doing right now. But that's another subject. So you're like, oh, I'm finna tell my man my deepest, darkest secret, baby. That's how I was. I'm gonna tell him everything. We share everything because we is one, okay? And then y'all get into it, that motherfucker throw that secret like it's a fucking dagger straight to your heart. You no, he didn't. Like that's why your sisters don't like your ass now. Because you talk too damn much. Oh my God. My God, today, children. No, he didn't. First off, that's why your mama ain't shit. But let me go ahead. Let me go ahead. I'm like, so then you begin to be like, realize, like, man, and I ain't talking about my current husband right now, y'all. I'm talking about past relationships. But you be like, man, I should have listened. Telling that nothing else. Because in life there is it's a balance, there's a balance in life. Because that same singer that was saying like no pain, no gain, telling you about the old lady sitting under the tree. Also, in the very next song, it's called After the Pain. And then she end up saying, don't blame Mr. Charlie. Mr. Charlie's just a man, and he is doing the best he can. I said, baby, bye. I would have turned Mr. Charlie ass everywhere but loose. Do you hear me? But let me continue. But let's continue because I just got sidetracked, y'all. Now, they was together after Miami and they fell in love. His lifestyle was different because he had money and he traveled a lot. Diddy controlled her appearance, what she did for the day, and who she could talk to. When he couldn't locate her, he would call constantly or have other people call or have security show up at her house. He had bad mood swings and she had to walk on eggshells around him. He would beat her if she made the wrong face. He would tell her, you got a slick mouth on you or fix your face. I'm like, don't that sound like a parent talking to a child? Like, y'all mom used to tell, fix your face. Who you looking at like that? Fix your face. So if she ignored him, he would send somebody to her house, like a assistant or a security or something like that. She said he didn't put out her music and would not let her make money through music or modeling because she used to also model. She acknowledged that she was insanely jealous. He would tell her that he's puffy and he can date more people, and then at times make her think that they was in a monogamous relationship. She lived in New York but moved to LA because he made her move closer to him so he can be closer to his kids. Diddy paid the rent, but once she was able to pay, one time she was able to pay for her own rent at her place, and she was proud of that. Diddy had 24 hours access to the apartment, had his own keys, and would come over anytime. Whenever she wasn't working on music, she was recovering from the freak off parties. The freak off parties became her main job. There was times where freak off lasts 3 to 4 days. I said, not hours, days. That's crazy. She said she went from artist to sex slave. He constantly commented on her appearance, and she eventually developed low self-esteem. He gave her money, cars, trips, as long as she did what he told her to do. If he was mad at her, Diddy staff would come to her house and get her car phones, laptop, and get them back to Diddy. Diddy had safes at all the homes that he had, and he had guns and money in all of them. At one freak off, a bodyguard comes in and says Suge Knight is at a diner close by. And then Diddy grabs, they grabs the gun, and I don't remember if they said a mask or not, but then they end up leaving. So Diddy introduced her to her first freak off in the first year. He explained to her that it was pretty much voyeurism, that, it would only be men's. You ain't gonna have to mess with no women. It'll only be men's, and I'll watch and, pleasure himself. Before the freak off started, he had already been beating her. He started beating her within 6 months of their relationship. She agreed to the freak offs because she loved him and wanted to make him happy and wanted him to feel normal about his desire. Because this ain't what she said. This how I took it. She knew there was a freaking motherfucker, but she, as his woman, she wanted to comfort him, and she wanted him to feel like her. I don't know how we is. We your oasis. We your therapist. Come talk to us. And she wanted him to not feel odd about his shit he wanted to do. Now, the first escort looked like a normal guy. There was nothing special. So it was consistent that most escort couldn't perform. So it was also consistent that, they all had horse, big black pink, because that's what P. Diddy liked. But when I heard this with the big black pink that P. Diddy wanted, I was like, he must be small. Because for you to be envious of big black pink, you must not have a big black peen. And I always wonder how it feel, because if you get one, what you need to bring somebody else up in there with one for? But that ain't my fetish, so I don't know. I could be completely wrong in this. So in the freak off, some of the big black peen guys couldn't get it up or couldn't keep it up. And they're alluding to, because of P. Diddy, it was because of P. Diddy presence that it would just fall flat, baby. She was given alcohol and X at the first freak off to loosen her up. And then they both wore masks. And he directed every freak off. And it was based off sessions. The freak off was based off sessions. And each session, a session is measured by if the escort comes or not. So one freak off would be like 2 sessions. Within weeks, he scheduled another freak off, and then it became more frequently, and it ended up eventually becoming 3 to 4 times a week that she would have to do these freak offs. She was awake once for 3 days because Diddy provided her with drugs to keep her up. She didn't want to participate in all of them, but she felt like that's all she was good for. And when she protested against doing a freak off, he would beat her. Then they said at this point she started crying. The only thing she got out the freak off was to spend time with Diddy. So then they showed a text message, and it was, Diddy, who you going to F? Do you need to call somebody? And Cassie said, I really need to fuck. He called her CC, as in Cassie Combs, I guess to make her think he'll eventually marry her. Y'all know some of them women get off on that. Oh, I'm a wifey. When I was dating my husband, I tell her, no, I'm not a wifey, baby. I'm your girlfriend. Until you put a ring on this finger, we ain't finna wifey. We ain't finna pretend none of that shit, because you're going to get a little too comfortable. But let's continue. Yeah. They asked why she sent that, and she said to make him happy. She also texts, I want to fuck you. Are you crazy? Okay, because she was asking, because she's saying she want to fuck, and he like, go ahead, call somebody, and she like, no, Nick, I want to fuck you. Are you crazy? So this goes to the point that she didn't want to do freak off. She wanted to be with Diddy, but doing the freak off was to please him. He made her get her nipples pierced. She didn't like it, so she took it out, and he made her go back and get both nipple pierced. And when they asked her, did she like what did she feel about the nipple piercing? She was like, I liked it. She said, I kind of like how it looked. She got her hood pierced, the clitoris now, the clit top part. And Mim said at this point, people in the audience, because I believe he said he was in the overflow, because they got the court, then they got the overflow part. The overflow part, people could talk. If you see it in the courtroom, you can't. But in the overflow part, he said people have began to become frustrated with the prosecution because the prosecution doesn't seem like they're really getting to the nitty gritty and pointing out what part is a crime. They're just letting her talk, but they're not pointing out like how is this a crime. And they felt like the line of questioning didn't ask things like if Diddy made her, or did he just suggest it, or are you doing this stuff to please him? They just like letting her talk. The freak off was in different cities. They used fake names, and the supplies was baby oil, astro gel, and protection, which is weird because she says in there that P Diddy didn't want them to use protection. He wanted them to do her raw. So I'm like, what you get protection in here for? Like, just the scenery? But I guess if some guys ejected, he still needed to get his rock off, so he'll be there just in case. I don't know. So once he filled up, and this is why he had so much baby oil right here, y'all. Once he filled up a pool with baby oil and astro glides and made her get in it. I'm assuming, since the freak house is at the hotel, it's one of them little plastic pools, y'all. This is what I'm assuming. But he filled it up with baby oil and made her get in it. And told her if she didn't do it, he'll be mad. The staff will put supplies in the rooms and will bring supplies if they ran out. He kept the room warm. And she said it smelled like a strong smell of candles and body odor. I said, oh my God. Funk. Pussy. That room smelled like pussy. That's what she. So the room was often destroyed. It had body fluids, blood, and urine, and ejaculation all over the walls, the door handles, the floors, and the sheets. And when they asked her where did the blood come from, she said because she was forced to have these freak off while she was on her cycle. Yeah. I was like, that's a lot. That's a lot. Then he would pee on her and have the escorts to pee on her. Now, I don't know if I said trigger warning, but to me, this way, I'm like, oh, hold on. Well, it became a lot. She said she didn't want to get peed on, but there was never any discussion about it being done. She never said stop. She would just put her hands up and hope that Diddy would stop, or hope that Diddy would tell the workers to stop. So she would just like put her hands up to try to stop the pee, or put her hands up like that, and hoping that Diddy will see that she's not enjoying it and stop peeing on her, or tell the escort worker, oh, that's enough pee. Once she choked because it was too much urine in her mouth. So they weren't just peeing, they were peeing in her mouth. Now, whatever your kink is, that's your kink. But that's why I said this right here was a little too much, because to me, this is torture. Like, if you into it, that's one thing. But if this is something that you're being forced to do, somebody peeing in your doggone mouth, that you choking on it, and they just still doing it, not even care that you're choking. They asked, why didn't you tell them to stop? She said she was too high to do anything. She was pretty much laid on the floor while they peeing on her, up, putting her hands up, and she was just too high to talk. All she could do was lift her head. I think this point is where Diddy and these escorts are in trouble, especially if in the video you see her that drug that she's not really moving or able to talk or moan or anything. Then there's gonna be, regardless of force, if a person can't consent, that's still the R word. So I'm like, yeah, if those videos show that, he's gonna be in trouble. Now, even though the escort's not on trial, but I'm like, they should be in trouble too. The requirements initially for Diddy was black males with big black ping, but it eventually became whoever was available, baby. There ain't no race, nothing. So she said she used Cowboys for Angels, she used Craigslist, and she used Backpage. She would find guys and send the pictures over to Diddy for approval. And Diddy would have to approve them in order for her. If he said no, she would call the agency back and be like, no, send somebody else, or, whatever, cancel the appointment and find somebody else. She said she booked escorts occasionally to travel, but it was really his staff. So I was like, this is the prosecutor attempt to prove the charge of travel transportation for prostitution. That's one of the charges he's charged with, and I want to say it's the max is a 10-year sentence, but I don't believe there's a minimum, but the max is a 10-year sentence. And to me, this should be one of the easiest ones to prove, because if you have the escort there, where was you at? Who paid for you to get to them? And did they pay for you to have sex? But there still would be one person word against the other, but I'm quite sure there should be some type of records about who paid, how you get there, your plane ticket, something. So I said that may be the easiest one to prove, because it's not about feelings. It should be clear, cut, and dry. They go through the pictures of the escort, and it was like most of them was unattractive. Most of them was weird looking. They said she took drugs at every freak off so she can disassociate with what was going on. The assistants provided the drugs. There was Texas Diddy telling her when to take drugs, what color pills to take, where to get the drugs from. He had a bag somewhere, go in the bag that's located here, go get this color pill, take it. And he also told her to take it with liquor. Sometimes she would get sick during a freak off due to the amount of drugs she would take, and P. Diddy would tell her, go throw up, come back up in here and finish. And her escort said one freak off, the escort would have to set across. Oh, the overall, what happens with the freak off, the process was pretty. He wanted them to set across from each other. Her and the escort would set across from each other. They would then please themselves, I guess, looking at each other, and she and he. And then what would happen next? Then she would have to look at Diddy and describe what she saw, like, oh, I see a big black ping or whatever. Then they would have to rub oil. Her and the escort would have to rub oil on each other. Another reason for so much baby oil. Then they would touch each other. Then it will be oral, and then they could get down to the intercourse. And then she said, with each step, she would have to ask P. Diddy, can I move on to the next step? So with the first looking at each other and pleasing each other, I mean pleasing their self. Then she'll look at Diddy, can we go to the next step? Then it'll be what was the next step? The oral. Rub the oil on each other. Can we go to the next step? Then it would be oral. Can we go to the next step? And maybe if he ain't satisfied, now I'll lick it some more. Now I'll suck it some more. And then he would have to get his approval. Okay, now you can move on. I said, baby, I see why the men's couldn't keep it up, because that was almost robotic, baby. What is sexy about that? Now the next, I mean, did it probably? Of course, he liked it, but for the people who's doing it, let's go on. So she tried to speed up the process so it could be over with, but Diddy would be like, "No, can't slow down." That's the way I heard it in my head. But she said Diddy would be like, "Slow down." She wanted it to be over so she can spend some time with Diddy. So y'all remember day one when we couldn't figure out what he was doing with the escort worker ejaculation? You remember the escort was like him and Cassie was doing what they was doing at the freak off, and Diddy was over there in the corner watching, and he had the mask over his face or whatever, and And so he faked like he came, and then Cassie would get up right away and go in the room. Her and Diddy would go in the room, and then they came back out like, "Did you actually come?" So we like, what was going? And I'm like, maybe he slurping it out. No, y'all. What was they would go in the room, and she would have to take the ejaculation from outside of herself and put it on Diddy. Diddy liked it on his chest, especially on his nipples. That's what they was doing with the y'all. So sometimes when the men's couldn't keep it up, he would give them the blue pill, and he also gave Cassie a blue pill. So that was it. That I want to say for day 2, yeah. I will come back and give y'all day 3. Today they are doing day 4. So that will probably be, I will probably review that tomorrow. What did y'all think of all of this? Drop down in the comments. Let me know what you thought of each part. And do you feel like the prosecutors, because man, this is the prosecutor. So day 3 will be the defense cross-examining Cassie. So all this is just questions from the prosecutors. Well, day 3, I think the prosecution didn't even finish. So I think they will have to finish up, and then defense will go in and do the cross-examination. So far, what do you think? How do you think that the case is going? What do you think about everything that have happened? Do you think this will be easy to prove that it was forced or coerced from this part of the testimony? Do you think the charges are gonna stick? Have your opinion weighed at all with this part of the testimony? Drop down in the comments. Let me know what y'all think. And I will catch y'all next time. Don't forget to like the video. Bye.